abhorrible, detestable, and deplorable atrocities taking place throughout the world. If you do not know what I'm talking about, let me tell you, I'm referring it to the ongoing extreme and intense wave of unimaginable, unreasonable, irrational, mind-boggling wave of terrorism by individuals who call themselves as Muslims. And people are sick and tired of listening to this explanation, which comes from modern Muslims, from liberal and moderate Muslims, that Islam has nothing to do with terrorism. People are sick and tired of listening to this explanation. Because a bunch of idiots who are proclaiming to be jihadists, Islamists, and who have acquired a reasonable amount of land in Syria and Iraq, and they have tried establishing a so-called state by the name of Islamic State. They're doing everything which Islam prohibits, and they're not doing anything that Islam commands. This is a dilemma. A dilemma in a sense that you cannot fully reject that they are not Muslims, and at the same time you cannot accept that they are Muslims. There are some theological and spiritual technicalities, and these technicalities are so delicate that a common mind, especially the one who suffers at the hands of these terrorists, these hate preachers, wouldn't want to go into details and find out what the real McCoy is. However, Mehdi Foundation International, Messiah Foundation International, has a team of experts who have a very profound insight into the religion of Islam, the inside out. How the religion of Islam was established, and when it was established, what were the apprehensions faced by the Prophet, and what was in God's mind, what He wanted to teach those people in that moment in time. Obviously, when a religion is established, the prominent features of the religion are to address the nation, and especially those vices that the nation is engulfed with. And realistically speaking, maybe today's man is more civilized and is more open to embracing all colors of people, different religions. Maybe today's human being is more open than it would have been 1400 years ago, and more open than human beings were open 2,000 years ago. Any good thing is bound by some limitations. If you override the limit, that good thing turns into bad. Right?
Yes.
For example, dessert. We eat dessert after every meal, especially after dinner, right? But dessert is not to fill your stomach with. It is just to change the taste of your tongue. If you switch it with the main course meal, right? You take few bites from the main course and you eat the dessert of 50 people. Obviously, it's going to give you extra boost and you'll be hyper, you will be jumping up and down for no reason. In a similar way, religion is a very delicate thing and it's very personal. Even if you talk about it, people will never come to know what kind of relationship do you have with God, because it's concealed in the heart. You will never come to know what kind of relationship does this man have with God, or what kind of relationship should this man have. It depends on his quest and his understanding and his power of comprehension. But Islam, in some ways, at some point in the past, had been very fortunate that there was a system within Islam according to which people were initiated into spirituality, and their hearts, with the help of spirituality, with the knowledge of spirituality, were softened. And when the hearts were softened, they began to feel a divine compassion. They began to feel pain of others. And also at the same time, they were able to recognize the fact that every single human being is part of creation, created by the same God. Therefore, if he hurts me or if I hurt him, in both cases, God is going to be really, really angry. Like we say, certain verses from the Bible can be summed up as the entire gist of Bible. Especially chapter John. John is very important figure in Christianity. He is. John the Baptist. He was famous for wailing. He was so God-fearing, even before he would think about sinning, he would fear that God is going to punish him. And he even didn't commit any sin. I mean, this was the level of God-fearing in his heart. And oftentimes he would just cry. And he used to say, cry, cry, cry. These cries will wipe away your sins. In the chapter John, the Bible says, love your God, your Lord, with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your body. And this particular verse from the chapter John in Bible is acclaimed to be the sum of Bible, to be the gist of Bible. Similarly, there are many different verses in Quran. If these verses in Quran are not delicately interpreted and correctly interpreted, the consequences can be really fatal, as we see today. In Quran, God said to the Muslim Ummah that I have prepared a team from this planet Earth that comprises people from you. And this team, this group of people, will call humanity upon God. And you would be the best group on earth. And then he talked about this group in a little different way in some other verses, where he said, there will always be a team, a group of people among Muslims at all times, who would call people towards goodness, and who will stop people from doing bad. This particular ayah from Quran has been greatly fiddled with. A wrong interpretation of this verse from the Quran led masses to go astray, and they took it to sword, they took it to committing carnage and massacre. We have seen what ISIS is doing in Syria and Iraq today. On daily basis, we're able to see the same thing is carried out by Saudis under a government in their country. Beheading people, and forcing people to engage in worship. Whereas, interestingly enough, nowhere in Quran and nowhere it is found in the traditions of the Prophet that you must force non-practicing Muslims to engage in any worship, especially according to Quran. La akra fid deen. There is no compulsion in the religion. But these idiots who come from this part of the world, Arabian Peninsula, their head is thick, and this thickness of the head is based on the fact that Quran was revealed in Arabic, and they think nobody can understand the Quran more than they do because Quran is in the same language as they speak. So they think they understand the Quran. But I have a question. In the last 1400 years, every single language goes through a process of evolution. Even English language is going through a process of evolution. Many new words are coined every now and then. For example, a word from Urdu. I just heard somebody on BBC, and this guy was using an Urdu word, and because this Urdu word has been borrowed from Urdu, and now it's part of English. Kismat. Kismat. It's an Urdu word, Qismat. But now it's part of, because it's been borrowed, because it's been used quite frequently. So, for example, school. School is not an Urdu word. But even in Punjab, people call it school. Yeah? So many words are borrowed in a language from other languages. Right? So in the last 1400 years, many words might have been borrowed into Arabic from other languages from the neighboring countries. In comparison, these people who speak Arabic today, they are less likely to understand the Quran more than those who lived at the time of Prophet Muhammad. What do you think? I think those individuals who lived at the time of Prophet were more able to understand Quran because Quran was revealed in Arabic of that time. Right? For example, a doctor, if you go to an Arab country, doctor. Now this word from English has been borrowed, right? And it is now doctor. Or as a female doctor, they will say doctora. For example, video, they call it video. So language of Arabic is not as pure as I speak today as it was at the time of Prophet Muhammad. And obviously, Quran was revealed in the language of Arabic, which was then spoken. So they were able to understand Quran more than people who speak Arabic can understand today. What do you think?
That's very true.
So it is now established, given the explanation laid before you. The people who spoke Arabic at the time of Prophet Muhammad were more likely to understand the Quranic Arabic than people who speak Arabic today. Right? Now, people at the time of Prophet Muhammad, when Quran was revealed and Prophet Muhammad would recite these verses of Quran on them, some of the words were naive to them. Some of the words of Quran were naive. They never heard of those words. Now this discussion, this very point, when Prophet Muhammad recited the verses of Quran on them, and oftentimes they would ask Prophet Muhammad, what does it mean? Why? It was in Arabic. Why are you asking such questions? Why are you asking Prophet to explain when the Quran is in Arabic? So the need for Prophet Muhammad's interpretation of the Quran came into existence because some of the words were naive and those people did not know about those words. Now, if those words were Arabic words, why didn't they know it? So some of the words in Quran, all the Quran was revealed in Arabic, but some of the words were not Arabic words. They were the words of Syriani, Semitic language. Syriani is the language that God speaks. These angels, they don't speak Arabic. However, it has been projected in the Muslim world that Lughatul Arabiya, Lughatul Jannah. But that is not true, my friend. If unfortunately a Pakistani enters paradise and he doesn't speak Arabic, how is he going to call upon the 70 damsels? Or a Bengali enters into paradise and is speaking Bengali, there will be a chaos, you know. Angels will be running around here and there. Oh, we'll find a translator. What this man wants. That is not true. It's a made-up story. Lughatul Arabiya, Lughatul Jannah. That is not true, my friend. God's language is Syriani. So Prophet Muhammad needed to translate those words because those words were not Arabic words. Now, it is easy to understand that no matter when you lived, no matter who you are, right? Even if you're Ali, cousin of Prophet Muhammad, you still need to know what those words mean unless God tells you. Right? You cannot speak better Arabic than Ali, cousin of Prophet Muhammad. You cannot speak better Arabic than Prophet Muhammad himself. And he came to know the meaning of those words because God told him. And he knew about it because God told him. And then he told the companions. And this is how we come to know. And this is the right gateway to understanding the true interpretation which comes from the chest of Prophet Muhammad. But Saudis think this is their language and they understand, they don't need interpretation. But at the time of Prophet Muhammad, those individuals who were really good at Arabic, they were poets. Their Arabic was fantastic. Like Umar, Abu Jahl, his Arabic was really, really good, wasn't it?
It was.
It was really good. His Arabic was good. And when he heard Prophet Muhammad speaking, he was taken aback. And he said, this man, Muhammad, has never been to a school. And look, this Arabic is fantastic. How come? And the only solution came to his mind, that there is a jinn speaking in him. It's not himself. That's what he thought. Now, because everybody lived together, it was like a village, right? There were no highways there. Unless there were some, pathways for donkeys and camels to trade on. There were no highways, there were no buildings. Everybody lived in a close proximity. Therefore, they did not use Facebook accounts or Twitter or live streaming. You say one word and everybody knows about it. So soon it was talk of the town. That, there is a jinn in Prophet Muhammad and that jinn speaks. Otherwise we know he hasn't been to school, he is unschooled, unlettered. How come he speaks such lengthy words which even we don't understand? And even the companions of the Prophet were a little uneasy and they were asking themselves, is it really true? Is it himself? Some jinn is speaking in his mouth. So then God revealed another verse in which he said, oh, companions of the Prophet, your sahib is not majnoon. He is not under occupation of any jinn. I reveal upon him, and whatever I reveal upon him, he conveys that to you. It's not a jinn, it's my revelation. It was then explained. And somebody from CNN was saying, American Muslims are not going to trust Muslims. American citizens are not going to trust American Muslims unless they denounce Sharia law, unless they denounce ISIS. But my friend, they have been denouncing. They have been denouncing on television. But they denounce it on television, and then when they go back home, they prepare another attack. They can do anything in the name of God. They can make a complete fool out of you. They can denounce it publicly, and in private they will, prepare another plot to have another butchery and massacre. You cannot trust them. Sharia law. And another topic is now coming up in the United States of America. Does Islam need reforms? This topic is very much in demand. But there's nobody who can speak legitimately on this subject. When I say legitimately, it simply means you discuss this topic and you discuss it with divine authority, with Quranic authority, and you explain it to people in the light of what Quran says. Obviously, Islam needs reforms. And why not? It is an established fact that Islam has a system within the religion whereby a reformer is required every 100 years. A reformer, mujaddid, is awaited and it is required every 100 years. And upon the completion on 1,000 years, a grand reformer is sent, like Mujaddid al-Afsani. Many Muslims, I think, do not know what al-Afsani is. Maybe they think it's his name. Mujaddid al-Afsani means a reformer who comes after 1,000 years. So the system of Islam tells us that Islam does need reforms periodically. Islam does need reforms periodically. Everything goes through a process of evolution. Religion also. You know, a religion is like a child. When the child is born, religion doesn't know anything. The child doesn't know anything. When the child grows up, the followers of that religion begin to grow up. And they develop more understanding, they develop more tolerance, they develop more patience, and they develop more harmonious hormones in them. And we talk about integration into American and British society. If I ask you a question, what about the Jewish community? Jewish community does not allow anybody to penetrate in them. They never integrate into any society. In the same way, if Muslims are living in a group and they meet each other, they socialize with each other, it doesn't mean they're terrorists simply because they are not integrating into any society. Jewish community is doing the same. They do not mingle with people of other faiths. And if Muslims are doing the same, it doesn't simply mean that they are terrorists. Now this question, does Islam need reforms? Mainstream Islam does not exist. Right? The religious doctrine which has taken over is Wahhabi cult. Trust me, I'm telling you the truth, that mainstream Islam does not exist anymore. What you see today is not mainstream Islam. You cannot even call conservative Islam. It's not conservatism. It is extremism. You know, some Orientalist and some, New York Times intellectuals call this conservative practice of Islam. I don't call it conservative practice of Islam. I call it extremism, fanaticism. This is improvisation. This doctrine has been opinionated, improvised by personal opinions. Religion is not a set of belief which has been allowed to have a system of creed whereby whoever think is right can include and make it a part of the religion. A religion is a set of beliefs prescribed by God. When your opinion becomes part of that religion is completely destroyed. There is no creed system in the religion. Obviously, Islam needs reform. Well, when we say Islam needs reform, what exactly do we mean? Does it mean, according to the previous practice of Islam, we used to go to the mosque 5 times a day. Should we reduce it to from 5 to 4 or 3 or 2 or 1, or just skip it? In New Islam, no salah. What exactly does it mean? We used to fast 30 days every year. New reforms means no fasting, always eating? No. It's about the laws. Islam is not all about worship. It's about the laws. It's about your behavior with your fellow faithful ones. How you behave with people of the book. How do you behave with Christians and Jews? And how you punish within Islam who become criminals, who violate Islamic law. How do you punish them? In this day and age, you cannot continue to chop their hands because they stole one loaf of bread. Let me tell you, the Islamic Sharia is as old as Islam. Means what? Islamic Sharia
Is as old as Islam.
and no reformer in Islam was courageous enough to openly talk about reforms in Sharia. He always feared, if I would say a word about reforms within Sharia, Muslims would take it to the sword. Now, let me tell you something really weird. According to Islamic Sharia, you're a woman and you commit adultery, you are punished. If you are married and even then you do this, what is the punishment? Death? Stoned to death? And if you are not married and you commit adultery, what is the punishment? Lashes. Right. But you know, in Saudi Arabia, I literally cried with tears day before yesterday. A woman was raped and the rapists ran away. And Saudi police arrested that victim who was raped. The victim of rape was punished. You committed adultery. She said, I am the victim. I was raped. I didn't do anything. Do you call it committing adultery? If somebody is raped by force?
Not at all.
And the Saudis punished her, beheaded her, and she was the victim. I mean, this is how thick they are in their mind. They don't understand anything. Is this Islamic Sharia?
No.
So, although there is a system in Islam, there has to be a reformer every 100 years, and then every 1,000 years there would be a grand reformer, like I mentioned the name, Mujaddid al-Sani. But then they were so scared that they never publicized the reforms. And Islamic Sharia that we have today is as old as Islam. If anybody asks me, does Islam need reforms today? I will tell them, does a dead body need medicine? Does a dead body need medicine? Especially those who are listening to me from different walks of society, individuals who represent media, electronic media, social media, I want to tell them, Islam did need reforms every 100 years, but now it's too late. If you need reforms in Islam, after these reforms, you will not recognize Islam. This is why God has become weary of all religions, and He has decided to promote love. No religion. And this is the message from Quran. In Quran, God said, "Oh, the faithful ones, when in time in future you will have deviated from all your religions, God will then bring down upon earth His own nation. He will love them and they will love Him." And this is the time when we do not need Christianity, we do not need Islam, we do not need Judaism, we do not need Sikhism, We do not need Hinduism. All we need is love. We don't need religions, because religions are corrupt. Religions are corrupt. Some fanatics are carrying out physical terrorism, and some others are carrying out financial terrorism, and some others are carrying out political terrorism. They're all terrorists. Financial terrorism, if you know what I mean yourself.
Yes, I do.
And then political terrorism, and then physical terrorism. They're all terrorists. We don't need religions. I mean, God is sick and tired of religions. He doesn't want any religions to be practiced. He doesn't want a church. He doesn't want a mosque. If you ask me, shall we demolish all the mosques? Go ahead. What are you waiting for? Do it. Because these mosques are not house of God anymore. These mosques are houses of devil. They're not houses of God anymore. And the real house of God is your heart. Your heart. Let me tell you a story from Prophet Muhammad. Once upon a time, Prophet Muhammad was circumambulating around the Holy Kaaba. And Umar bin Khattab thought, we're circumambulating around a piece of stone. And Prophet Muhammad stopped. And he said, he didn't talk to him, but Prophet Muhammad waved at the Kaaba and said, "Oh Kaaba, I am aware of your importance. But are you aware of the importance of the heart of a mu'min? The heart of a mu'min which is enlightened is at least 1,000 times greater than you." And Maulana Rum also said the same thing. Dil badastawar ki hajje akbarast. Sad hazaran Kaaba yak dil behtarast. Kaaba bunyade khalile azarast. Dil guzargahe jalile akbarast. So this preserve your heart, because this is where God will come and reside. Right? And remember what Jesus said. Jesus said, you think you will build a house with your hands and your Lord, your God, will live in a house which was built by your hands? No. Your heart is God's temple. Now is the time that God does not want any mosques, any churches. God wants all of you to turn your heart into divine sanctuary. You should house God. Currently, God is homeless. He's not living in anybody's heart. He doesn't have shelter. Honestly, if God descends on earth and he guises himself as a human being and he goes to Syria, right? They will ask him to become a mujahid and put a belt around his bum. And they will ask God to go and become a suicide bomber. Even God will blow himself up. He will be so scared of his own creation. What is happening now to Islam is the most disgusting thing that has ever happened to any religion. These rapists, these druggists, these criminals are calling themselves mujahideen and Muslimin. This is not Islamic state. This is evil state. I also say it has nothing to do with Islam. But my point of view is different. Muslims say terrorism has nothing to do with Islam. Islam is pure. It has nothing to do with terrorism. Islam is clean. But when I say terrorism has nothing to do with Islam, this is because Islam is no more. Therefore, the possibility and the likelihood of Islam having to do with terrorism is zero. Why? Because Islam doesn't exist. How can Islam has anything to do with terrorism? Right? If Rafaqat is not sitting here doubting that he drank water from this bottle, is negligible, zero, because he wasn't even here. Right? Similarly, Islam does not exist today as we speak. Maybe 100 years ago, Islam had died. And recently there was a report in New York Times. They said the number of Tablighi Jamaat, they used word Tablighi Jamaat. Number of Tablighi Jamaat is increasing in USA.
Yep.
What Donald Trump has said is illogical. But we need somebody who is even more severe than Donald Trump. And he comes with the right approach. And this is not the right approach, banning all Muslims. You should ban all Tablighi Jamaat, all Wahhabis. They are under different Islamic flags, under different Islamic names. ISNA is the US version of Jamaat Islami. Let me tell you a practical joke. Sirajul Haq, the head of Jamaat Islami in Pakistan, he was complaining day before yesterday. Look, the birthday of Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah has been sabotaged. Why? Because the Indian Prime Minister came to Pakistan on the day of the birthday of Muhammad Ali Jinnah. And these people are the ones, when Pakistan was being founded, Maulana Maududi said, this is not Quaid-e-Azam, this is Kafir-e-Azam. And this is not Pakistan, this is Kafiristan. And today, Sirajul Haq, the head of Jamaat Islami, is saying Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah's birthday has been sabotaged by Nawaz Sharif because he invited Modi on the same day. They are hypocrites. This is not our main speech, but we initiated this meetup program here, and we will invite people from time to time. And this is all for today here, but I have my main lecture at 10 p.m. UK time.
Aura TV. Guidance brought to you